Welcome to the Wealth is in the Details podcast. In this podcast, financial planner Peter Raskin helps families and business owners understand and prepare for their wealth journey. Along the way, thoughtful and detailed planning can provide clarity and confidence as clients confront a multitude of financial decisions. Listen in as Peter shares stories and insight into people's wealth journeys. Now, let's get into today's podcast.
Hello and welcome to The Wealth is in the Details with Peter Raskin from Raskin Planning Group. Today we're talking about making dreams come true. And speaking of making dreams come true, we have a special guest in studio, and that is Jacqui Lewis. Jacqui is the president and managing director of Audley Travel North America. Jacqui, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, and thanks for having me here today.
Yeah, I'm so excited Peter brought you on. Good morning, Peter. How are you?
I'm great, Eric. Good to speak with you.
All right. Well, I'm excited. I love talking about making dreams come true. We usually talk a lot about finance. And so I guess, Peter, I'm going to ask you the first question, really. What does travel have to do with comprehensive financial planning?
Well, Eric, for some, it's everything. And for others, it's nothing. So,
all right.
I hope our clients, what they want is to build and design financial plans around their wants, not just their needs. And I say this for a couple of reasons. One is practical. Most of our clients have discretionary income and assets that, if they're managing that well, those assets and the income will probably last their lifetimes and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And then secondly, it just makes for a much more interesting and engaging experience for all of us, for me and for our clients, helping our clients enjoy life and what it's really all about. And that's what financial planning is to me. So I find that many of the people we work with are really hardworking. They're business owners, they're professionals, they're executives. And frankly, they just don't spend a lot of time visualizing and dreaming about what they really want in the future. So part of our process, part of the planning process, is really helping them visualize and figuring out what they want to do with their leisure time. So I think the process of planning helps many people take a step back to do this kind of dream planning.
Yeah, and as a business consultant and a coach for many years, I'm absolutely all about that type of planning, goal setting. And you've spoken many times on previous podcasts about comprehensive planning and the process that you take people through and how it does give them that space to dream about their future. But can you kind of revisit what you do with that information and why that's so important?
Yeah, I think financial planning it's not just about dreaming. I think it's really important to quantify what assets are available or what income might be discretionary over your lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And then really answer that question, are the dreams and goals attainable? So it's really vital that we think about priorities. What's most important to the family? Is it helping the kids and grandchildren go to private school or buy homes? Or is it buying that second or third vacation home? Is it traveling around the world? And that's why we've got Jacqui here today. Or is it all of the above? So the planning process helps us answer that most important question our clients have about their futures. Are their goals attainable? And so that's why we thought we could have a conversation with another kind of planner, someone that really helps our listeners fulfill those travel dreams.
Well, we're just going to assume that your clients have these travel dreams in place. They've got the ability to do it. And now, Jacqui, I want to ask you, how can you help Peter's clients and anybody listening to this fulfill those dreams and especially when it comes to travel, because I'm all ears. My wife and I love to travel. In fact, we're going to Mexico next week, so I'm very excited about that. But can you kind of tell us and our audience what you guys do at Audley Travel to help fulfill those dreams?
The thing that I found really so unique about what we do, and it was the value proposition that kind of got me back into being in business and back out of retirement. I actually sold a company after about 25 years of working hard. So I took that retirement route, took a few years off. And then a former colleague of mine approached me with this concept of tailor-made travel, which I had never really heard of. And having spent 25 years in the travel industry, I was surprised I hadn't heard of this concept. But the idea is to actually have someone who specializes in a country help you plan to travel to that country. So it's almost like having a best friend. So if you can imagine, if you're going to Mexico, you probably ask people for advice. You may have asked friends who have been there, restaurant recommendations, things to see and do. Well, how about if you did that with someone who actually spends a month a year or has worked, traveled extensively, or even lived in that country, and they help you curate and plan your itinerary based on what you like to do or not like to do. It's kind of that process that personalizes things to your likes and dislikes. And our history in travel has really been around taking preset itineraries, group travel experiences, and basically you get what you get, and that's what it is. And if you like the itinerary, wonderful. And if some of it isn't so great, then you kind of just do it anyway. But the reality is you're throwing money away by doing it that way. You should get what you want on vacation and how you want to do it. And that's exactly what Audley does. We pair clients with a specialist who's either lived, traveled, or worked extensively in a country, and they help you curate the perfect itinerary for you and your family to go experience a new corner of the world.
Yeah, Jacqui, my wife and I love to experience travel. We just really value it. It's really important to us. I personally always like having something to look forward to, having something on the horizon that's new and interesting, and it keeps me excited. I also love just unplugging and spending time and being in the moment with my wife, and we just don't do that enough. And so these memories are just so powerful for me, and they just make me smile, and I think of those good times. So for me, these memories are more satisfying and lasting than a lot of other things that we accumulate and that we do. It's an important value for me, and maybe not all of our clients, but I think it's the same for many, many people. But when people are dreaming about planning, what do you see as some of the obstacles that they might see?
I'd say for us, we really, really see a lot of people who just fail to kind of take the time away from their busy everyday schedule. So all of a sudden they realize they haven't planned a vacation and they want to go away in a month. So they just haven't taken the time to set aside time for starters, and then they haven't taken the time to plan actually what they want to be doing. The perception of travel as being expensive is another, I think, obstacle. And there's so many ways for travel not to be an expense or a burden that you didn't expect. You forget to prioritize, I think, what you can see is one of the most important decisions that we make. It's really setting aside quality time to spend and make memories with those who you love and broaden your perspective and your view of the world. And people just forget to do that, and then they're scrambling towards the end. So we see that a lot with people. Like, I want to go, people will call us in March and they want to go to Italy in May. And then they're upset when they can't get their first hotel choice or the tour they wanted or the perfect guide. But it can be difficult to give someone exactly what they want if they haven't actually taken the time to plan. So we deal with that quite a bit.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we're always asking. We meet with our clients every year, and part of that process is just, so what's on the agenda this year? What do you want to do? How do you want to do it? And letting them think ahead. And what begins to kind of come to the surface in those conversations is what those travel plans might be. So a lot of people may call you with 6 or 8 weeks before they can travel, but they've been thinking about it for longer. And I'm hopeful that the process we take them through gets them to call you a little earlier so they can have that perfect vacation and things open up for them. Can you describe the process and what the travelers who will work with you can expect in that process?
Sure. It starts with a conversation. I think we've all sort of gotten into the habit of sending an email or texting someone, but we've actually gone back to the art of conversation because it's so powerful. Our specialists really just spend a little bit of time on the phone with someone asking them, what have your previous travel experiences been like, and what was important to you about it? What are the things that you remember? What would you like to get out of this? Who are you traveling with? What are their hopes and dreams for this vacation? So it's just trying to really listen and understand the person so that they can curate the best itinerary possible for them. Once you've kind of downloaded all that information, they will really select hotels, excursions, guides, and an itinerary will come out of that just matches what you're looking for. So it's really personalized to each individual. I always say no two itineraries end up being the same because they really don't.
Yeah. But when my wife and I have traveled in the past, we've done it lots of different ways. When I was younger and certainly poorer, really out of college, I did the youth hostel thing on $15 a day, and I traveled for about 10 months in Europe, and it was just a great experience. But I'm not traveling that way anymore, and I would say we've done those solo trips where you plan everything and you do we've done taking cruises, and we've done group trips where everything's taken care of. And we've done a couple of Audley trips as well. And I've had clients and friends that have also done them. And they've gone places, like they've gone to Africa and Asia and Central and South America. And it just seems like Audley's really on top of everything that you would want. And it seems like you've also started doing trips in Europe again. Is that true?
That is true.
So kind of when you think about, when our clients are thinking about budgeting, what drives that budget?
So it really depends on the individual. So you might be a 5-star luxury traveler, or you might prefer that $15 youth hostel.
Not anymore.
Right. Most people aren't at this stage in life. But the point is that it's up to you how you want to spend your money. So some people prefer to end a holiday or vacation with a 5-star, 3-day just relaxation bit of it. But during it, they want to get really under the skin of a country, and maybe they want to stay with a host family, or they want a boutique hotel or something more unique. We also look at the quality of the guide. So if you told me you were really into architecture or you were a foodie, that would really dictate the type of guide, and we might select that guide specifically for you based on what your needs are. Transportation is another thing that we will take a good look at for you. Some people want to get from A to B by maybe taking a cruise or sailing there. Other people would prefer land or train. So there's just lots of ways that we can put together something that works for someone. And what drives the budget is really putting all those things together. And we do have that conversation with clients as well. What is it that you expect this to cost you or your family, or what would you like to spend on this, so that we don't present something to them that is not what they're looking for.
Yeah.
But we also want to manage expectations. If somebody comes in, we call it on a beer budget with champagne taste, it's probably going to be a problem, right? So we try to be honest with people. If you want to travel in high season and stay 5-star and you want private everything, it's not going to be a budget vacation.
I think it might be helpful if I could just maybe give some examples of our trips and what we've done. We did a trip to, we've done Costa Rica and Mexico. Those are the two Audley trips we've had. And what we really have enjoyed is kind of mixing up some relaxation, just like you mentioned, doing some hiking. We love cultural experiences. We do love to eat well and drink nice wine. And so that's really an important part of our trips. And you guys have been able to kind of put that together. So we've had people pick us up at the airport, take us to our boutique hotels, which are really have been lovely. They just have been comfortable, casual, just exactly what we wanted in interesting places with great views and not crowded. Just gave us a flavor of the area in both Costa Rica and Mexico, and that was really fun. I love being picked up by our guide in the mornings and mapping out a whole day of archaeological tours or a hike or museums or in Mexico City we did a couple of taco tours and just really fun stuff. In each of the countries we've visited, we've loved to go to cooking classes, and we've done it at someone's home, and that's really been fun. Being in the home, experiencing what they experience, and cooking with them and talking with them, and it's just been a really fun day. We've gone to the markets, done the shopping, and we just couldn't have figured out that on our own. It just would have been less efficient had we done it. So finding the restaurants, the hiking, the relaxing, Audley really does a great job putting that all together. What about travelers who want to bring different generations of family? You guys do a lot of that kind of travel?
I think that's really a sweet spot for us. We get a lot of requests for multi-generational travel, and it can be quite complicated for a family to figure out. You may have two or three children, and the grandparents are taking them away with their children, but they're living in different parts of the country. The families often have children of different ages, therefore they have different likes. So trying to put something together that will actually serve everyone's needs and make everyone happy. And then you often get families who will extend. They'll do the core part of the trip with family, with the grandparents, and then on the way back, or they'll may stay a few days longer, but you're talking about flights coming from different places, children of varying ages. So it can be complicated. And I think that for us is where we do specialize, because everything we do is tailor-made. There's no set departure. You decide when you want to go. Everything is curated specifically towards each individual's needs. So you can do much of the itinerary together, but you can separate for things that won't be of interest to everyone. And I think that's the beauty of Tailormade. It is really designed for each individual's likes and dislikes. It's not group travel. And for that, for me, if I could just tell you a very funny story of kind of when I got hit in the head with this was I took a 10-day trip to Croatia back in, it must have been 2007. So Croatia was just kind of coming back on the map. And I booked this amazing 10-day itinerary. And I thought, well, this is great. And it was quote unquote private. But when I asked to change a few things that I didn't really want to do, they wouldn't do it. So I went on the trip and I just didn't do those 2 days of travel. I just basically blew them off and said, I'm not going to do that today, and told the guide, like, that's not really something I'm interested in today. We're going to go do our own thing. But I literally then realized that the trip cost me about $10,000 for 10 days. I threw $2,000 out the window. So when you tailor make something, you can actually put it together and not have to throw money out the window. Each day is the way that you want it and how it's designed to be for you. So that's the beauty of it. And when you talk multi-generational travel and you are trying to bring different family members together, whether they're all local or coming from far away, it's just a great way to be able to give everybody what will make it the best and most memorable family vacation they've ever had.
Describe the book, the itinerary book that people get. I think that's really helpful. It gives people a real level of confidence and they're comfortable because every day is mapped out with what they've designed.
Yeah, we actually provide our clients with it's a small binder, and it really kind of serves as let's just call it your book. It kind of stays with everyone the entire tour. And we actually now have that electronically for those who don't want to carry something around with them. But in the beginning of it, it will have an itinerary and brief, which kind of gives you a snapshot overview of each day and what you'll be doing. And then the next section will be a more detailed, thorough look at what you're doing and what you can expect. So it just gives you information of what to be prepared for. If you need to bring sunscreen in the morning or a bottle of water or wear comfortable shoes, this is what you'll be doing for the day. It has all your flights captured in there, restaurant recommendations, details from your specialist, so they will personalize that itinerary and that binder that you get really around what your needs are. So maybe you've decided you're traveling on your anniversary and you wanted a special restaurant. So they would indicate that is what's happening on the night. You may have wanted to book massages, or your guide's meeting you for a special kind of tour, but everything is really laid out for you. And I think one of the great things for me too is in the back of it, there's a section that pulls out. And it's all of your information, so you can leave it with someone at home in case there's an emergency. You just hand it to someone and say, this is where we'll be and what we're doing, and this is how to get a hold of us the entire time we're away. We also have information there in case there is an emergency. We have a 24-hour duty office that's on call, so no matter where you are in the world, we are literally with you. So all that information travels with you, and it's also left at home. So it's just peace of mind.
Well, speaking of that, we were in Costa Rica at a beautiful resort, and there was another couple on this private beach that we were at, and we started talking to them. There were only four of us on the beach, and it turns out that they were also there using Audley Travel, and they've used them 5, 6, 7 times, many times. They were from Europe, and they told a story about going to an island off of Africa. I forget exactly where it was, but this was a while ago. And during their trip, there was a coup. that took place. And they were fine. They were very safe, but it just raised the level of anxiety. And they reached out to Audley Travel, or Audley Travel reached to them. I forget what the chain of events was. Anyway, they were able to get them out of the country very quickly. They felt very safe, very taken care of. They continued their vacation somewhere else in that area. But speaking of safety, and things can go wrong, even if you're in a more developed country like in Europe or wherever you might be. So Audley is there to help people during those times, and I think that's really important.
I couldn't agree more. And we do have things happen, and it's not. No one ever expects anything to go wrong. You don't expect a family member to get ill or something to happen at home, or even when you're traveling, or political events. There are weather-related incidents that can happen. So there's a variety of factors that can really impact travel. And that could really be on any spectrum. So it could be something minor to something major. But that is what we are there to do. We monitor all the travel advice coming in from every state department. Bit of advice that comes out, we're on top of. We're monitoring news around the world and weather. We have individuals who are assigned to basically create sort of levels of crisis, if you will, based on what's going on in the world. And we are actually trained. We have a professional company that comes in and trains us on managing crisis, whether that be for an individual or for something bigger that might happen in the case of something like a coup. But that is sort of that peace of mind that I think is really important. And a lot of people will do the DIY thing, as we call it, the do-it-yourself travel, but they don't realize if you are on the other side of the world and something does happen, you really left your own devices. I think last year was Indonesia. We saw the earthquakes happen, and we had quite a high number of travelers out there, but we were able to communicate with our ground agents in Indonesia and get everyone out of there. But it was really difficult to hear the stories of people who were kind of stuck because they really had no one to reach out to and no one to help them. So that is the kind of thing that you would never think about happening, but it did happen. So that's for us to think about, and you're supposed to just sit by the pool and go do your tours and enjoy your holiday.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Jacqui, could you talk about someone's got the idea of traveling to a specific country, they know what they want to see, or you've got someone who really doesn't. They just started thinking about travel and they know they want to do something that's adventurous or not. If they want to just sit and enjoy their family. How do they reach out? What do they need to do to start this process to plan their next dream?
So I'd probably start by looking at our website, and you can find us at www.audley, and it's AUDLEY travel.com. And you can really take a good look there at the destinations that we offer. There are sample itineraries on some of or actually most, if not all, of the pages on the website. And you can start to get a feel for something that might resonate with you. And then you can also order a brochure from us. And I call it a brochure, but it's really does not do it justice. It's more like a table book that we send to people. It's a gorgeous kind of guide with really amazing photographic imaging in there that our specialists, for the most part, have taken. Great curated sample itineraries are in there. So if you know that you want to maybe go to Southeast Asia, we'll send you the whole Southeast Asia brochure. If you're thinking towards something else and maybe you don't have any idea where you want to go, we actually have a concierge department. So you could give us a call and they will talk to you about time of year that you want to travel, for example, because that will eliminate a lot of places where maybe it's the rainy season or it's if you're looking for warmer weather, it's not quite there yet. They'll talk to you about budget, type of accommodations and what kind of traveler you are, what you're looking to get out of your next vacation, and then they can start making some recommendations to you about countries that might fit. So there's lots of ways to go about it. If you're on the website and you actually find something that you like, each individual team in our office has their own set phone number. So if you're on the page, for example, for Greece, and you dial the number, you're going to get a Greece specialist. So we have a policy in the company of one point of contact through your entire journey with us. So once you reach your specialist and start to curate that trip, that specialist takes you through the entire journey. There's no handoff. So you won't be handed off to someone to pay your payment, or if something goes wrong, your specialist is your friend from that beginning to the end until you call us back and you want to go somewhere else. they will hand you over to the next specialist that specializes in that country.
So really the first step is to either go onto the website or call Audley directly with a sense of what you might want to do or not. And they'll be plugged into with the correct person.
That's exactly right.
And that's been my experience, frankly, when I've called and decided that this is something that I want to do. We've just called and we've been working with someone that's a specialist in the country that we wanted to go with, and it's worked out great. I do stress that the books that are sent to you or that you can see online are just sample itineraries, because we've looked at the books and we said, well, that's kind of what we want, but having a conversation with the specialist really drives the itinerary completely, and it could look really different than what's in the book. But it's just a way to get you thinking about the experience that you might have and what's really fun.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's meant to kickstart you into the process of thinking about what's important to you. So those itineraries are really suggestions. Some people actually, it hits it right on the head and they say, nope, I don't want to change a thing. That's exactly what I was looking for. And here it is. Other people, this is a great thing, but that's part of the process. You're going to reversion things until it feels completely right to you. And that's what your country specialist is going to work with you on. The other thing I just wanted to add that I don't think I mentioned earlier is our country specialists don't specialize in the world. They truly do only specialize in a country or two. If it's a smaller place like Southeast Asia, they might do Cambodia and Laos, and other folks will just do Australia, for example. But they are a specialist in a specific corner of the world. They're not generalists. And we also send them back for a month a year to experience that country. So just thinking about Japan right now, which has really been flying out of our office for the past, I'd say, 2 years. We have about 11 specialists in our office. So just about every month a year, there's someone in Japan retesting the tours, rechecking out the restaurants, experiencing all of the trips and the tours and the guides, and then coming back and really just updating the team so that constant flow of knowledge and expertise continues to be built. And that's really at the core of what we do and what we hope comes across to every single person who travels with us.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm excited about my next trip, and I hope our listeners are also excited about kind of thinking about what their future might look like as far as their pleasure is concerned. Certainly, we love to help them quantify their financial plan, but even more exciting to us is that conversation about what do you want, what will make your family happy, and if travel's part of that, then let's plug that into the plan, our financial plan, and then we recommend working with companies like Audley. I don't think there are many like them. So, but working with planners to help people travel and realize their dreams is really vital. So, Jacqui, thanks so much for joining us today. I thought this was really interesting. I think it gave our listeners a break from dealing with the financial planning details that we're often discussing. So I think this was probably really interesting to many of our listeners. So thanks again.
Thank you, Peter. It's been wonderful to be here, and I appreciate your time today and to talk to your listeners. So thanks.
Thanks.
Jacqui and Peter, this was fantastic. I learned a ton. And being a specialist in a country sounds like a pretty good job if you go there once a month, or not once a month, once a year for a full month. That's awesome. I mean, obviously it would be great for them too, but I mean, it's great that your business does that. I've never, ever heard of a company really investing that much into their research in that way. So I think that gives you guys a leg up. So thank you so much for being here. I learned a ton too.
Thank you.
You bet. And thank you all for listening to the Wealth is in the Details podcast with Peter Raskin. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, please click the subscribe now button below. This way, when Peter comes out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. This makes it much easier to share these podcasts with your friends and family. And doggone it, if there's a podcast you want to share with friends and family, this is the one. You can get together and all call Audley and make some plans because it's more fun to share that experience with your friends and family. Again, thanks for listening today. For everyone at Raskin Planning Group, this is Eric Johnson reminding you to live your best day every day. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Wealth is in the Details podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Lincoln Financial Advisors Corporation. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning. Peter Raskin is a registered representative of Lincoln Financial Advisors. Securities offered through Lincoln Financial Advisors Corporation, a broker, dealer, member SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through SageMark Consulting, a division of Lincoln Financial Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance offered through Lincoln affiliates and other fine companies. Raskin Planning Group is not an affiliate of Lincoln Financial Advisors. Lincoln Financial Advisors Corporation and its representatives do not provide legal or tax advice. You may want to consult a legal or tax advisor regarding any legal or tax information as it relates to your personal circumstances.